Rohma could feel the charge in the air, all the young people performing their various mating rituals. She was getting drunk, and it was getting harder to block out the desires of others. She sipped her drink. Someone was talking to her, but she couldn't focus on the words. Swaying slightly, she closed her eyes, imagining a wall of light surrounding her, pushing out all the noise. Just practicing the meditation brought to mind the smell of Kaide's leather and tobacco. Her mind calmed slightly. She looked up at the talking head. It belonged to a tall young man with dark hair. She didn't know him, and she was sure he wasn't the last person who had bought her or Drei a cup that night. Rohma looked into her glass. How many had she had exactly? She squinted at it like it held the answer. It did not. Look at me. The voice shot through her mind, louder than words could have been. For a moment she thought it came from her cup, then realised it was the man in front of her. The light shield shattered, and the minds around her rolled back into her head. She looked up at the young man. What did you say? I said, you look beautiful tonight. Have you been with Tassos for long? Oh, Rohma paused. In her mind she saw a flash of her own breasts being groped by his hands. She shook herself. These were not her thoughts. What do you do at the Tassos Guild? The young man asked. I'm a mystic, Rohma answered quietly, pushing the invading thoughts out of her mind. She blinked, trying to bring the light back. Calm, light, a safe white light. Not a herbalist? He asked, stepping closer for some reason. Drei laughed from behind her. Rohma stepped back and brushed against the man talking to Drei. She slipped into his mind and saw Drei's laughing mouth, her red lips, her wicked eyes, and the smooth curve of her shoulder. Rohma was overwhelmed with desire for her, his desire. She saw his hand curl around Drei's throat, laughing at her terror. Rohma gasped, dropping her drink.
Oh, excuse me.
The man talking to Drei turned and stepped away from Rohma. Get away from me, she pushed him.
What?
The man stepped back, anger and confusion on his face. Drei's fingers brushed Rohma's wrist. Rohma, it's okay. This is Doom. That guy, Drei laughed. That guy that threw me. Get off her. Don't touch her again. Rohma pushed again. Rohma? Drei grabbed hold of her friend, wrapping her arms tightly around her. I'm spinning, Drei. They are all getting inside of me. You are in danger. Rohma grabbed Drei's head and pressed her forehead to her friend's. Darkness and stillness. A raft floating in an endless ocean. Bobbing. There on the raft, just the two girls, holding on to each other, stars above, black below. This was older than Kaide's teaching, something that only existed with Drei. No matter how bad it was, Drei could take her to that quiet place. She's just drunk, Drei. I can send for an escort. Get her to her tent. Doom's hand slid up from Drei's shoulder, over the side of her neck and into her hair. He pulled gently and whispered into her ear, Don't leave just yet. Drei shivered. The raft rocked in a wave. In Rohma's mind, bright blue light raced under the water, schools of fish that glowed like blue lightning. Drei disappeared from the raft. Drei, please, it's not safe here, Rohma begged quietly. I'm sorry. Drei pulled Rohma close. I can't block them out, Rohma whispered. I'm going to burn. Drei didn't ask questions. She just moved fast, gripping Rohma's arm and ducking through the crowd like they were escaping a fire. Doom watched, his expression unreadable as he melted back into the crowd. Rohma gasped. Her eyes opened. They were alone, and outside of the camp, away from the fire. I walked us out, Drei explained, apologetically. I drank too much, Rohma said. Me too, Drei nodded. Can we go further away? Even away from the fire, they were surrounded by tents, filled with dreams, passionate embraces, and whispered fights. A dull roar threatened to overrun her. Drei considered. We could go to the pond for a bath. The water will do you good. Rohma nodded. A single fat tear rolled down her cheek. The girls walked down a lane, leaning against each other, stumbling occasionally and giggling. Rohma felt better. She couldn't block out Drei, but she didn't need to. Drei's mind was a calm oasis. There were clouds far off and a quiet sense of danger, but Drei kept it back. Rohma knew if she dug deep there were monsters, but the surface was pristine, the water calm, and no threat came from the black depths.
"I think I'm okay now," Rohma mumbled, but the edge in her voice betrayed her. The road ahead was quiet, but the hairs on her arms lifted. "The sun follows us, Drei. It's only a guard, Rohma." Drei saw the shift. Rohma had gone deep, the exact kind of thing Kaede didn't want people seeing. Her oracle abilities. "Where are you girls heading?" he asked, a pleasant expression on his face. "To the pond for a bath," Drei answered. Rohma's eyes were glazed. "I'm going to touch it, Drei. Pull me from the fire if I go in," Rohma announced in a sing-song way. Rohma let go of Drei, stepping toward the guard. Her hand extended, her other arm blocking her eyes. The guard stood completely still, as if Rohma had suddenly manifested herself into a wasp and was about to land on him. Rohma's hand found his breastplate. She unshielded her eyes and looked into his face. Another hand clasped his cheek. "Not the sun. Only so much goodness in one place. Your halberd. One side holds life, and the other death. Do you get to choose?" Rohma smiled, pulling him close. "I know you. I've known you." Finally, in his ear, "I'll know you again." Drei grabbed Rohma by the waist and pulled her away from the guard. "She is very drunk." The guard. "Mystic?" "Yes," Drei answered, stumbling with Rohma. "My brother is the same when he gets drunk. That," he pointed at Rohma, "that was a first. But my brother is the same. He says odd things and can't control them. Some come true, some just..." He shrugged. Drei nodded. "All right. The pond is closed for bathing at night, but I'll stand guard. She could use a dunk." "Thank you. Who are you besides a very kind guard?" "Oh, Edic. Edic is fine." Edic knew Drei. He had seen her fight earlier that day. But the other one, he would remember a woman like that. The vision seemed to have left her now, and they both stumbled happily and quite drunkenly down the lane. Lovely girls. They reminded him a bit of himself and his brother, always in trouble. Upon reaching the pond, the girls stripped down and dove in. Edic looked down the lane to protect their modesty, as if they had any. He smiled to himself. "I'm protecting wild things, not ladies of the kingdom." Splashing and laughing confirmed his thoughts, and he leaned against a tree with a chuckle. Sweet girls. He was glad to be their shield. He worried about his brother, who had been taken not 2 years ago into the Order of the Emperor's Mystic Herbalists. A strange group. His brother was hardly given a choice. Stop practicing or join. A choice like that would be the same as saying, stop being a man or join. He didn't choose to practice. It was what he was. So his brother disappeared. The same fate was not in store for this dark beauty. Women were not permitted to be herbalists, but the gift, as his family called it, could be a curse. The pond grew silent, and Edic turned to check if all was well, not wanting to invade upon them, but wary of their condition. Rohma tread water in the moonlight, feeling her bosom finally bob freely, pleasantly, as her hair slicked back and cool water kissed her skin. Perhaps something was wrong. Edic pushed himself away from the tree, watching. Drei popped up from under the water just in front of Rohma, who screamed. Edic smiled, relaxing again. He was about to turn when Drei pulled Rohma's head to hers, and they kissed, quick and gentle. They whispered to each other, foreheads pressed together, treading water and spinning in a slow circle. Not so much like my brother and me then, Edic thought. He smiled faintly, but a knot of unease tugged at him. He was protecting wild things, not ladies of the kingdom, and wild things always drew hunters. He felt the cold steel that had been slipped under his breastplate from the side. The flat of the blade was against him.
Lovely, yes, but reckless, the man's voice whispered from Edic's right. Idiot, Edic whispered back. Edic pivoted fast. The knife blade was trapped between his stomach and armour. The dagger cut a bit into him, but the handle snapped from his attacker's hand. Edic caught him with a backhand, and the attacker fell, sprawled. Another attacker darted forward, but Edic went low, sweeping the man's legs out from beneath him with his Quan Dao, dull side out. If they had any training, they had drowned it in the same drink that took their common sense. Rising from a low stance, Edic caught the last in the chin, sending him to his back with a shout. Edic gathered the daggers. What guild? He asked. Cyphis, sir, the three responded. Edic narrowed his eyes. 5th rank. Attacking girls at a pond. The first boy looked down. We're just testing the guard. Make sure you're properly trained, that's all. Properly trained? Who are you to test me? Edic scoffed. Just a bit of fun. Our guildmaster wanted to check, the first boy continued. Shut up, the second elbowed him hard. Edic's stomach turned cold. That wasn't a brawl. That was a set-up. Go tell your guildmaster that the guard is just fine. The attackers left him with 3 daggers and 3 Cyphers 5th rank sashes in his hands. 5th rank. Idiots. He could have beaten 6 of them sober, but then he would have had to hurt one of them seriously. Of course, that wasn't common knowledge. Edic scanned the trees. From the edge of the pond came the sound of hurried footsteps and rustling fabric. Drei's voice rose ahead of her.
I heard a scream. Are you okay?
You're bleeding, Rohma declared. It's a scratch, Edic smiled. What is your guild, ladies? Tassos, Drei answered. Let's get you two safely home then. Edic could barely relax the entire way. Rohma was more coherent, and the girls were quiet, more sober and tired. When he reached the Tassos camp, he walked them to their tent, then went directly to the dimly lit tent that must belong to the guild master. Edic pulled the curtain softly. Sir? He asked the poorly lit darkness inside. Kaide stirred from his cot, only half asleep. Oh, enter. He sat up and looked at the young guard who came in. Sir, I brought your girls home, Rohma and Drei. Edic pointed out the door. Thank you. Did they cause trouble? Not so much, sir. Though Rohma... Edic paused, unsure if he could trust the guild master with the truth. She had visions. Kaide stood, reaching for a drawer. How much will this secret cost? She did, sir. It's not safe, Edic continued. No, she's not. Thank you. Kaide extended his hand to shake. Edic reached out, shaking, and was about to turn to the door. There is another matter. Guild Syphis. Do the girls have some kind of, Edic shrugged, history with them? Kaide blinked, surprised, searching his memory. June was here briefly the other night. Tossed dry, Kaide half laughed, remembering. Some words were exchanged, but nothing anyone would take seriously. Edic explained the trip to the pond and the attack, leaving out irrelevant and private moments, including Rohma's vision. He concluded with, the boys weren't drunk. They were 5th rank, Syphis. And one of them said they were testing the guard. Who in the hell would test a guard protecting 2 girls? Only someone who had already decided one of those girls belonged to him. Kaide's brow furrowed. I've heard things about Jim, his obsessions and how they turn out.